Hello, and welcome to Whisper Garden, a quiet corner of YouTube where gentle stories help you slow down, unwind, and drift off to sleep. You'll find a new sleepy time tale here every week, told in soft, soothing tones designed to calm your mind and ease you into restful slumber. I'd be so grateful if you'd like this video and subscribe to the channel. It's a small gesture that makes a big difference and helps more dreamers like you find their way here. Sweet dreams. Tonight's story will help you release the day's stress and drift into peaceful sleep within the next 30 minutes. As we journey together through this gentle tale, you'll find your mind naturally quieting, your body relaxing completely, and your breathing becoming slow and steady. Let this story wash over you like warm rain on summer leaves, carrying away any tension or worry from your day. You're visiting the sleepy village of Dryfold, where time moves as slowly as honey, and a mysterious rain shepherd walks the golden fields at dusk. Here, in this dreamlike place where memory and magic intertwine, you'll discover that rest itself is sacred, and that sometimes the most beautiful mysteries are meant not to be solved, but simply experienced with wonder. Get comfortable now, close your eyes, and let your breathing naturally slow as we begin this gentle journey. Feel yourself sinking deeper into your bed with each word, your muscles releasing their hold on the day. You are safe here, you are welcome here, and you belong in this peaceful place we're about to explore together. Chapter 1. Dust in the Fields. In the village of Dryfold, dust gathered softly in corners like whispered secrets, and time moved with the unhurried pace of honey dripping from a wooden spoon. 7 years had passed since the last rain kissed these fields. 7 long years of golden afternoons that stretched endlessly under a sky the color of faded denim. The houses stood patient and quiet, their windows catching the last amber light of evening. Chimney smoke rose straight up in the still air, thin ribbons of gray that seemed to write gentle messages across the sunset. You can almost smell the wood smoke now, mixed with the sweet scent of dry wheat and the faint perfume of lavender, growing wild along the garden walls. Children's voices carried softly from somewhere beyond the village square, their laughter like wind chimes in a barely there breeze. A cat stretched lazily on a sun-warmed doorstep, its fur the color of rust and cream. Even the shadows fell softly here, pooling in comfortable puddles beneath the apple trees, whose branches hung heavy with the memory of seasons past. The fields beyond Dryfold rolled away like a patchwork quilt stitched with golden thread. Wheat that had grown tall and proud now stood papery and still, each stalk holding its place in silent reverence. Empty scarecrows swayed just barely in the whisper-thin wind, their cloth arms spread wide as if embracing the endless afternoon. Take a deep breath now, and let yourself sink a little deeper into this peaceful place. Feel the warm air of Dryfold settling around you like a soft blanket. Your breathing is becoming slower, more natural, matching the gentle rhythm of this sleepy village where nothing urgent ever happens, where every moment flows into the next like water finding its way to the sea. In the village inn, windows glowed with honey-colored light. The innkeeper, Mara, moved quietly between tables, her footsteps barely disturbing the dust motes that danced in the lamplight. She hummed sometimes, very softly, tunes that seemed to come from somewhere deep in memory, melodies that made the evening feel even more peaceful than before. The locals spoke in whispers when evening came, their voices mixing with the gentle clink of teacups and the soft settling of old wooden beams. They talked of ordinary things mostly, the weather, the harvest that would come someday, the way the light fell differently now than it had in spring. But sometimes, when the shadows grew longer and the air held that special stillness that comes just before dusk, they spoke of something else. They spoke of an old man who walked the empty fields when the sun hung low, a figure in a gray coat who carried a black umbrella and moved with the quiet purpose of someone following a path only he could see. The rain shepherd, they called him, though always in voices so soft they were almost whispers, as if speaking too loudly might disturb some delicate balance in the world. Some said he had arrived the very day the rains stopped 7 years ago, though no one could quite remember seeing him come. Others claimed he had always been there, walking the borders of Dryfold, a keeper of some ancient rhythm that connected the village to rhythms older than memory. But everyone agreed on one thing. When you saw him in the distance, moving slowly through the golden fields with his umbrella folded tight against his shoulder, you felt something shift inside you, a loosening, a gentle release, as if some small burden you hadn't even known you were carrying had suddenly become lighter. Your own breathing is growing softer now, deeper, as if you too are settling into the peaceful rhythm of Dryfold. The day's tensions are beginning to fade, dissolving like morning mist in warm sunlight. You are safe here in this story, safe in this quiet village where time moves slowly and everyone rests easy. As evening painted the sky in shades of rose and gold, fireflies began to blink among the wheat stalks. Each tiny light was like a star fallen to earth, a gentle reminder that even in the driest season, magic still lived quietly in the world. They blinked in no particular pattern, these small lights, but somehow their random flickering created a sense of deep peace, a visual lullaby that made the fields seem to breathe slowly in. The air grew cooler as darkness approached, not cold, but perfectly comfortable, like stepping into a room where someone has just finished baking bread. Windows in the village began to glow more warmly, and somewhere a bell tower chimed the hour with notes so soft they seemed to float rather than ring. This was Dryfold at dusk, a place where nothing happened quickly, where every sound was gentle, every sight was soothing, a place where you could rest completely, where your mind could finally be still. Chapter 2. The Traveler. Into this peaceful evening came a traveler whose name was never quite spoken aloud, as if it belonged to a dream half remembered upon waking. They appeared on the dusty road that led into Dryfold just as the first stars were beginning to show themselves in the deepening sky, their gray cloak settling around them like quiet water. The traveler moved with the unhurried pace of someone who had learned that destinations matter less than the walking itself. Their boots were worn smooth by countless miles, but their step was light, barely disturbing the soft dust of the road. They carried no heavy pack, no urgent purpose, only a quiet curiosity and eyes that seemed to notice the gentle beauty that others might overlook. As they entered the village, the traveler paused to watch a moth dance around a lamppost. its wings catching the golden light like tiny pieces of the sunset itself. There was something in this simple moment, the soft flutter of wings, the warm glow of the lamp, the perfect stillness of the evening air, that made them smile softly to themselves. Let yourself pause here, too, in this gentle moment. Feel your own breathing becoming as calm and steady as the traveler's footsteps. Notice how your body is growing heavier, more relaxed, settling deeper into comfort with each word of this story. You are walking alongside the traveler now, sharing in their sense of peaceful wonder. The inn stood at the heart of Dryfold, its windows glowing like friendly eyes in the gathering dusk. The wooden sign above the door showed faded painted letters that spelled out the Sleepy Hollow Inn, and beneath it, a smaller sign promised rest for the weary, dreams for the hopeful. Even the signs here spoke of comfort and ease. Inside, the inn was exactly what the traveler's tired soul had been hoping for without knowing it. Low beams crossed the ceiling, hung with dried herbs that filled the air with the scent of summer meadows. A fire crackled softly in the stone hearth, not blazing but glowing with steady warmth. Tables were scattered throughout the common room, each one worn smooth by years of gentle use, each one telling quiet stories of travelers who had found rest here. Mara, the innkeeper, appeared as if summoned by the traveler's need for welcome. She was a woman whose age seemed less important than her kindness. Her gray-streaked hair pulled back in a way that framed eyes that held the warmth of candlelight. Her dress was the color of lavender at twilight, and when she moved, it was with the graceful economy of someone who had spent years making others comfortable. "Welcome, dear one," she said, and her voice was like honey mixed with cream, soothing and nourishing all at once. "You look as though you've been walking for some time." The traveler nodded, suddenly aware of how good it felt to be welcomed, to be seen and acknowledged in this gentle way. "I have been," they replied, though they couldn't quite remember when the walking had begun, or what they might have been walking away from, or toward. "Then sit," Mara said, gesturing to a table near the window, where the last light of day painted everything in shades of gold and rose. "Let me bring you something warm." The traveler settled into the chair, and it was as if the furniture itself had been waiting for them. The wood was smooth and worn to perfect comfort, the cushion exactly the right softness for tired muscles. Through the window, they could see the fields stretching away toward the horizon, peaceful and still in the gathering darkness. Your own muscles are growing heavier now, more relaxed, as if you too are settling into that perfect chair by the window. Feel the comfort surrounding you, supporting you completely. Let yourself sink deeper into rest, deeper into this peaceful story where nothing urgent waits, where everything happens in its own gentle time. Mara returned with a bowl of soup that steamed gently in the lamplight, its scent rich with herbs and vegetables that had grown in gardens where time moved slowly and hands worked with patient love. Beside it, she placed a slice of bread, still warm from the oven, butter melting into golden pools that caught the firelight. "The village seems so peaceful," the traveler said between sips of the warming soup, each spoonful bringing comfort that spread through their body like sunshine. "Dryfold has always been a quiet place," Mara agreed, settling into the chair across from them with her own cup of tea. "Time moves differently here. People rest easier, though She paused, glancing toward the window where darkness was slowly claiming the fields. Though, the traveler prompted gently, sensing a story in that pause. Well, there's the rain shepherd, Mara said, her voice dropping to the soft tone that Dryfold's residents used when speaking of mysteries. Have you ever heard of such a thing? A man who tends rain the way others tend sheep? The travelers shook their head, but something stirred in their memory, not a clear recollection, but the shadow of one, like trying to remember a dream after waking. Hence, walks the fields at dusk, Mara continued, her words coming slowly, thoughtfully. Been doing it for 7 years now, ever since the rain stopped. Carries a black umbrella and hums as he goes. The children say he's gathering clouds, but the older folks, she trailed off with a gentle smile. What do the older folks say? The traveler asked, though they found they already knew. They wanted to see this rain shepherd for themselves, wanted to understand what it meant to tend rain in a world that had forgotten how to fall. They say he's not gathering anything, Myra replied. They say he's remembering, and that when he remembers enough, when the memory is complete, the rains will return to Dryfold. Outside the window, full darkness had finally arrived, but it was a soft darkness, comfortable and enveloping rather than frightening. Stars appeared one by one, each a gentle point of light in the peaceful night sky, and somewhere in the distance, barely audible, came the sound of humming, tuneless but somehow familiar, like a lullaby heard in a dream. The traveler turned toward the window, and there, at the very edge of the lamplight's reach, they saw a figure moving slowly through the golden fields. Gray coat, black umbrella, and that soft humming that seemed to make the very air more peaceful. There, Mara said quietly, there he is. And watching that distant figure move through the moonlit fields, the traveler felt something they hadn't experienced in all their days of walking, the desire not to go somewhere else, but to follow, to understand, to walk beside someone who moved with such gentle purpose through the peaceful night. Your breathing is becoming even slower now, even deeper, as you settle more completely into this restful story. Feel yourself drifting like the traveler, drawn not by urgency, but by quiet wonder, by the promise of something beautiful and mysterious and profoundly peaceful. Chapter 3. The Path of Humming. The morning came to Dryfold the way mornings do in dreams, slowly, softly, with light that seemed to seep into the world rather than burst upon it. The traveler woke in the inn's most comfortable room, between sheets that smelled of lavender and sunshine, having slept more deeply than they had in months of wandering. Through the window, the fields stretched golden and peaceful under a sky the color of pale pearls. Mist clung to the low places, moving slowly like contented spirits, and the air itself seemed to hold the promise of something wonderful about to unfold. After breaking their fast on warm bread and honey, the traveler walked out into the village morning. Dryfold was stirring gently to life, smoke rising from chimneys, gardens being tended with patient hands, children playing quiet games in dusty yards. Everything moved at the pace of honey, of dreams, of perfect contentment. But the traveler's attention was drawn beyond the village to the fields where they had seen the rain shepherd walking the night before. In daylight, the landscape looked different, but no less magical. Wheat stalks stood like golden soldiers in peaceful formation, and paths wandered between them that seemed to have been made by centuries of gentle footsteps. Let yourself walk into this peaceful morning with the traveler. Feel the warm air against your skin. Smell the sweet scent of dry grass and wildflowers. Your steps are slow and easy, your breathing naturally matching the gentle rhythm of this dreaming place. You are safe here, welcome here, part of this beautiful, unfolding story. The traveler chose a path that led toward the center of the fields, following what seemed to be a deeper worn track in the earth. With each step, the village sounds grew softer behind them, replaced by the whisper of wind through wheat and the distant song of birds who nested in hedgerows older than memory. The path wound gently between the golden stalks, sometimes straight, sometimes curving, as if it followed some natural rhythm known only to the earth itself. Wild poppies bloomed in scattered patches, their red petals like drops of sunset, preserved in the peaceful morning light. Butterflies danced from flower to flower with movements so lazy and graceful they seemed to be painting slow-motion poetry in the air. As the traveler walked deeper into the fields, they began to hear it again, that soft humming they had noticed the night before. It seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere, carried on the gentle breeze that stirred the wheat into waves of gold and amber. The melody was wordless, tuneless in any conventional sense, yet somehow deeply familiar, like a lullaby remembered from childhood. Your own breathing is slowing to match the rhythm of that gentle humming. Feel it resonating in your chest, in your bones, creating a sense of deep peace that spreads through your entire body. Let the melody carry away any remaining tension, any lingering thoughts from the day. You are drifting deeper into tranquility with every note. Following the sound, the traveler came upon a sight that made them pause in wonder. There, moving slowly between the wheat rows, was the rain shepherd himself. In daylight, he appeared both more real and more mysterious than he had seemed from the inn window. A figure of medium height, wearing a coat the color of storm clouds, carrying his black umbrella like a staff of office. His age was impossible to determine. His hair was white as fresh snow, but his movements held the fluid grace of someone much younger. His face was kind but distant, as if he lived partially in this world and partially in another realm entirely. When he walked, his feet made no sound on the earth, and the wheat seemed to bend gently aside for him, rather than rustle at his passing. The rain shepherd was not alone in the fields. Around him moved small glowing lights that the traveler first mistook for fireflies, but as they drew closer, they could see these were something else entirely. Tiny sparkles that danced in the air like captured starlight, each one no bigger than a dewdrop, but radiant with soft, pearlescent light. The traveler stood perfectly still, not wanting to disturb this magical scene, content simply to watch and wonder. But the rain shepherd seemed to sense their presence without turning around. His humming continued, but he raised one hand in a gesture that was clearly an invitation, gentle, welcoming, completely without urgency. Slowly, the traveler approached. The golden wheat whispered softly around them, and the little lights danced closer, curious and friendly. Up close, The rain shepherd's humming was even more beautiful, a sound that seemed to make the very air more peaceful, more ready for rest. "You may walk with me," the rain shepherd said without turning, his voice carrying the same quality as his humming, soft, musical, deeply soothing. "The path is wide enough for wandering," and so the traveler fell into step beside him, matching their pace to his unhurried rhythm. They walked in comfortable silence through the golden fields, following paths that seemed to appear just ahead of their feet and fade gently behind them, as if the earth itself was dreaming the route into existence. Feel yourself walking alongside them now, your footsteps as quiet and peaceful as theirs. The golden wheat brushes softly against your arms, and the little dancing lights bob gently around you like tiny fairy lanterns. Your breathing is deep and slow, your body completely relaxed, your mind as quiet as this magical field where time moves like honey and every step brings deeper peace. The wheat gave way to an orchard where apple trees stood in neat rows, their branches heavy with fruit that glowed like small suns in the dappled light. Each tree seemed to hold its own particular quality of peacefulness. Some emanated the drowsy contentment of afternoon naps, others the gentle satisfaction of work well done, still others the sweet melancholy of beautiful things passing. The rain shepherd paused beneath one particularly ancient tree, whose trunk was gnarled with age, but whose apples glowed the color of sunset. He reached into his coat pocket and withdrew something small and smooth, a stone no bigger than a child's palm, gray as storm clouds, but with an inner light that pulsed gently like a slow heartbeat. "Cloudstone," he said simply, holding it up so the traveler could see how it seemed to gather the morning light and hold it softly. "They remember what the sky used to give." The traveler watched in wonder as the stone's inner light grew slightly brighter and the air around it seemed to grow cooler, more humid, touched with the distant promise of rain. Without quite knowing why, they found themselves remembering the scent of summer storms, the sound of raindrops on leaves, the feeling of cool mist on sun-warmed skin. Your own memories of gentle rain are stirring now, bringing with them a deep sense of peace and renewal. Feel the remembered coolness, the soft sound of water falling on earth that welcomes it. Let these soothing memories wash over you like the promise of perfect rest, carrying you deeper into tranquil sleep. The rain shepherd tucked the cloudstone back into his pocket, but its influence lingered in the air around them. As they continued walking through the orchard, the traveler noticed that each tree they passed seemed to respond to their presence, leaves rustling a little more musically, branches swaying in rhythms that matched their footsteps, apples glowing just a touch brighter in the gentle morning light. "How long have you been walking these fields?" the traveler asked softly, not wanting to break the spell of peace that surrounded them. "Time moves differently here," the rain shepherd replied, his words coming slowly, thoughtfully. "Perhaps I have always been walking. Perhaps I only began this morning. Does it matter when each step brings its own gift?" And the traveler found that it didn't matter, not at all. What mattered was this moment, this gentle walking through fields of gold and orchards of light, this feeling of being exactly where they belonged, moving at exactly the right pace, through a world that welcomed them completely. The orchard gave way to open meadow where wildflowers grew in soft profusion, gentle blues and purples, creamy whites and pale yellows, all swaying in the barely there breeze like a carpet woven from peaceful dreams. Here the rain shepherd's humming grew softer still until it was barely audible, just a vibration in the air that made everything feel more harmonious, more ready for rest. The meadow sloped gently downward toward something that glimmered silver in the distance, water reflecting the sky, a lake that lay still and perfect as a mirror made of dreams. And toward this peaceful destination, the traveler and the rain shepherd continued their unhurried walk, their footsteps making no sound on the flower-soft earth, their breathing synchronized with the gentle rhythm of this magical, sleepy world. You are walking with them now, your own steps just as quiet, your own breathing just as peaceful. Feel the soft flowers brushing against your legs. Smell the sweet air of this perfect meadow. Let yourself drift deeper into the tranquil rhythm of this gentle journey that has no urgency, no destination except deeper peace, deeper rest, deeper surrender to the beautiful mystery of simply being present in this moment of perfect calm. Chapter 4, Cloudstones. The lake of silver echoes spread before them like a mirror made of liquid starlight, its surface so still it perfectly reflected the pearl-gray sky above. Mist clung to its edges, moving slowly like gentle spirits, and when the wind was just right, the water seemed to hum with a sound so soft it might have been imagination, might have been memory, might have been the lake itself breathing in slow, peaceful rhythms. The rain shepherd led the traveler along the lake's edge, where smooth stones lay scattered like ancient coins left by some benevolent giant. Each stone was worn perfectly round by countless years of gentle waves, and they glowed with their own inner light, some silver like moonbeams, others pale blue like dawn sky, still others the soft gray of clouds heavy with rain. "More cloudstones," the rain shepherd said, kneeling to gather several of the glowing stones into his hands. They nestled together like sleeping birds, their combined light creating a soft nimbus that made the morning air seem to shimmer with possibility. The lake remembers too. Water calls to water, even across the years of absence. The traveler knelt beside him, running their fingers through the smooth stones that lined the shore. Each one they touched seemed to pulse gently with its own rhythm, and touching them brought back memories they hadn't known they carried. The sound of rain on windows during childhood afternoons, the smell of earth after summer storms, the feeling of being perfectly safe and dry while gentle weather moved outside. Let these peaceful memories wash over you now. Feel your own body growing heavier, more relaxed, as if you too are gathering cloudstone memories that make rest deeper, sleep more natural. Your breathing is becoming slower, deeper, matching the gentle pulse of these magical stones that hold the promise of rain, the gift of perfect peace. The rain shepherd filled his pockets with the glowing stones, but no matter how many he took, the shore remained covered with them, as if the lake generated new ones as fast as the old ones were gathered. They multiply when they're needed, he explained, seeing the traveler's wonder. Magic that serves peace always grows stronger when it's shared. Rising, he turned away from the lake and began walking toward a grove of willow trees that drooped their graceful branches like green curtains in the still air. The traveler followed, their pockets now heavy with their own collection of cloudstones, each one pulsing gently against their body like a second heartbeat, slow and soothing and deeply comforting. The willow grove was like stepping into a cathedral made of living light. The long branches created a soft green canopy that filtered the daylight into gentle shafts of gold and amber. Beneath their feet, moss grew thick and cushioning, making each step feel like walking on clouds. The air itself seemed to hold more moisture here, more promise, as if the trees remembered what it felt like to be nourished by gentle rain. In the center of the grove stood a single ancient willow, its trunk so wide that 3 people holding hands couldn't have circled it. Its bark was silver gray, smooth as silk, and carved into its surface were symbols that seemed to shift and change when looked at directly. Runes that might have meant rain or rest or remember, or all of these things at once. A rain shepherd approached this ancient tree and placed both hands flat against its trunk. Immediately, the cloudstones in his pockets began to glow brighter, and the symbols carved in the bark started to pulse with gentle light. The tree itself seemed to sigh, a sound like wind through leaves, like waves on a distant shore, like the first drops of rain touching thirsty earth. Every place has its heart, the rain shepherd said softly, his hands still pressed against the glowing bark. This tree is the heart of these fields, the center of the circle where rain will return. But hearts need tending, need remembering, need the touch of those who understand their purpose. The travelers stepped closer and placed their own hands against the smooth bark. The moment their palms touched the tree, they felt something extraordinary, a connection that ran deeper than roots, stronger than stone, wider than the sky itself. Through that connection flowed the memory of rain, not just water falling from clouds, but the entire dance of earth and sky, sun and storm, growth and rest that made life possible. They saw the fields as they had been before the dry years, green with growing things, sparkling with dewdrops, alive with the sound of streams and the laughter of children playing in gentle summer showers. They felt the deep contentment of earth receiving exactly what it needed, when it needed it, in the perfect rhythm that connected all living things. Your own connection to peace is growing stronger now, deeper, as you feel yourself becoming part of this magical place where everything is connected, everything is peaceful, everything moves in the gentle rhythm that leads naturally to rest. Let yourself sink deeper into this feeling of belonging, of being exactly where you need to be, surrounded by magic that serves only peace and comfort and deep, healing sleep. The vision faded gently, leaving the traveler with a sense of profound peace and rightness. The rain shepherd smiled, the first clear expression they had seen on his usually distant face, and the smile was like sunrise after a long, peaceful night. "You understand," he said simply. "Not everyone can feel what the tree remembers, but you carry the understanding in your bones, in your breath. That is why you were drawn to walk this path." From his coat, the rain shepherd drew out something the traveler hadn't noticed before, a leather pouch decorated with the same shifting symbols that adorned the tree trunk. From this pouch, he took a handful of cloud stones that glowed brighter than any they had seen before, stones that seemed to contain entire storms, entire seasons of gentle rain compressed into smooth, peaceful shapes. One by one, he pressed these special cloud stones into hollow places in the ancient willow's roots, and as each stone settled into its designated spot, the tree's glow grew brighter, the sense of moisture in the air grew stronger, and the feeling of peaceful completion grew deeper. "The circle grows complete," the rain shepherd murmured, placing the last stone with careful reverence. Memory calls to memory, stone calls to sky, and what was separated begins to remember how to be whole. Above them, though they hadn't noticed when it began, clouds were starting to gather. Not storm clouds, these were soft and gray and gentle, moving slowly across the sky like contented sheep wandering through celestial pastures. The air grew cooler, more humid, touched with the electric promise that comes before rain. The traveler looked up through the willow branches at the slowly gathering clouds and felt their heart growing as peaceful as the accumulating sky. This was what they had been walking toward without knowing it, not just a place, but a moment when all the scattered pieces of something beautiful would come together in perfect, gentle harmony. Feel your own scattered thoughts and worries gathering into that same gentle harmony. Like the clouds above the willow grove, like the glowing stones arranged in perfect order, let everything in your mind settle into peaceful patterns that lead naturally toward rest. Your breathing is slow and deep, your body completely relaxed, your spirit as calm as the gathering sky above this magical grove where everything moves in the rhythm of approaching peace. The rain shepherd stepped back from the glowing tree and brushed his hands together, a gesture of work completed with satisfaction. The cloud stones in the traveler's pockets pulsed once, gently, like a quiet yes spoken by the earth itself. "And now," the rain shepherd said, his voice carrying a note of anticipation soft as approaching thunder, "we wait for the sky to remember what the earth has never forgotten." He settled himself at the base of the ancient willow, his back against its glowing trunk, his black umbrella folded across his knees. The traveler joined him, finding their own comfortable spot among the soft moss and gentle roots, surrounded by the growing sense that something wonderful was about to unfold in its own perfect time. Above them, the clouds continued to gather, slowly, patiently, in the natural rhythm of sky calling to earth, of rain preparing to remember how to fall. Chapter 5. The Umbrella Opens. Time moved differently in the willow grove, flowing like honey mixed with dreams, each moment stretching and settling into the next with the gentle inevitability of evening following day. The traveler found themselves drifting in and out of that peaceful state between waking and sleeping, where thoughts became as soft and scattered as dandelion seeds on a summer breeze. The rain shepherd sat perfectly still beside them, his breathing so quiet it barely stirred the air, his presence as calming as deep water or ancient stone. His black umbrella rested across his knees, and occasionally the traveler noticed him running his fingers along its edge, tracing patterns that seemed familiar, though they couldn't quite place where they might have seen them before. Above the grove, the clouds continued their slow gathering, building not with the urgency of storm, but with the patient accumulation of all good things that arrive in their own time. The air grew softer, more welcoming, touched with the kind of humidity that makes skin feel smooth and breathing feel deeper. Let yourself settle in to this same peaceful patience. Feel your body growing heavier, more comfortable, as if you too are resting against the trunk of an ancient tree that holds all the peace in the world. Your breathing is becoming as quiet as the rain shepherd's, your thoughts as scattered and gentle as those floating dandelion seeds. As the afternoon light began to deepen toward evening, the rain shepherd stirred. His movement was so gentle, it barely disturbed the profound stillness that had settled over the grove. But the traveler felt it like a whisper in a dream, and opened eyes they hadn't realized they'd closed. "It is time," the rain shepherd said, though time for what he didn't specify. He rose with the fluid grace of water finding its level, the black umbrella still folded in his hands. The sky has remembered enough. The stones have sung their song. The earth has prepared its welcome. He walked to the center of the grove, where the light filtering through the willow branches created a natural circle on the moss-soft ground. Here he stopped, and the traveler could see that the cloudstones arranged around the ancient tree's roots were glowing brighter now, pulsing in slow unison like a heartbeat made of light. The rain shepherd lifted his umbrella, holding it horizontally before him, and for the first time the traveler could see its surface clearly. The black fabric was covered with symbols stitched in thread that caught the light like captured stars, constellations they recognized, mixed with others that seemed to shift and change as they watched, runes that might have spelled rain, or rest, or return, or words in languages older than memory. Around the umbrella's edge, tiny silver bells hung from threads so fine they were barely visible. And as the rain shepherd began to turn the umbrella slowly in his hands, these bells started to chime with sounds so soft they were more felt than heard. A music that seemed to resonate in the bones, in the breath, in the space between heartbeats. Your own heartbeat is slowing to match that gentle rhythm, your breathing deepening with each soft chime of those magical bells. Feel yourself sinking deeper into peace, deeper into the growing magic of this moment when sky and earth prepare to remember their ancient dance. The rain shepherd raised the umbrella above his head, his hands finding the mechanism that would open it. For a moment he paused, and in that pause the traveler felt the weight of 7 years of drought, 7 years of waiting, 7 years of hope, held gently but never abandoned. Then, with a movement as graceful as a flower opening to sunlight, he triggered the umbrella's release. It opened with a sound like a whispered yes, spoken by the wind itself. The black canopy spread wide, revealing its full glory, symbols that moved and shifted like living things, stars that pulsed with gentle light, and around its edge, those tiny silver bells that now chimed constantly in harmonies too complex and beautiful to fully understand. But it was not just the umbrella that opened. As its canopy spread against the evening sky, the clouds above began to respond. What had been a slow gathering became a purposeful arrangement, gray and silver shapes moving into patterns that mirrored the symbols on the umbrella's surface. The air grew thick, with the promise of rain, heavy with moisture that made each breath feel like drinking peace itself. The traveler watched in wonder as the sky above the grove began to lower, not threatening, but welcoming, as if heaven itself was leaning down to embrace the earth. The first drops began to fall, not many, just scattered touches of cool moisture that landed on leaves and moss and the traveler's upturned face like gentle blessings. Each drop that touched their skin brought with it a feeling of profound rightness, of completion, of puzzle pieces settling into their destined places. This was what the 7 years of waiting had been preparing for, not just the return of rain, but the return of connection, of harmony, of the deep understanding that all things are part of one great, gentle rhythm. Feel those gentle drops on your own skin now, each one carrying peace deeper into your being, washing away any remaining tension or worry from your day. Let the soft rain of this magical moment cleanse your spirit, slow your thoughts, prepare your body and mind for the deepest, most restful sleep. The rain shepherd stood perfectly still beneath his opened umbrella, and the traveler could see that the rain was not falling on him but flowing upward from the umbrella's surface, as if it were gathering moisture from the very air and sending it skyward to join the clouds above. The umbrella had become a bridge between earth and heaven, a gentle conduit through which the ancient conversation between sky and ground could resume. The silver bells chimed more insistently now, their music weaving through the sound of falling drops, like a lullaby played by the wind itself. Each chime seemed to call more rain from the clouds, and with each response from the sky, the feeling of peace in the grove grew deeper, more complete. Around the ancient willow tree, the cloudstones pulsed brighter with each drop that fell, as if they were drinking in the moisture and transforming it into pure light, pure contentment. The symbols carved in the tree's bark glowed steady and warm, and the traveler could swear they heard the tree itself sighing with satisfaction, a sound like wind through leaves, but deeper, more musical, touched with the joy of long thirst finally being quenched. The rain began to fall more steadily now, but it was the gentlest rain imaginable, soft drops that landed like whispered blessings, cool without being cold, refreshing without being overwhelming. It fell with the perfect rhythm of a mother's heartbeat heard from the womb, steady and soothing and infinitely comforting. Let this gentle rhythm match your own breathing now, your own heartbeat, as you sink deeper into the profound peace of this magical rain. Feel each drop as it falls, carrying with it the promise of perfect rest, perfect peace, perfect surrender to the natural rhythms that rock the world to sleep each night. Chapter 6, Rain and Remembering. The rain fell through the night like liquid starlight, each drop carrying within it not just water but memory itself, the memory of what these fields had been, what they could be again, what they were becoming even now, under the gentle touch of sky meeting earth in ancient harmony. In the village of Dryfold, windows glowed warmly against the soft percussion of raindrops on roofs and leaves. Children who had never seen rain pressed their faces to glass panes, watching in wonder as the dry streets began to glisten, as puddles formed in grateful hollows, as the very air grew sweet with the scent of dust being transformed into rich, welcoming earth. The adults moved more slowly than usual, as if the rain had reminded them of rhythms they had forgotten, of ways of being that belonged to gentler times. Conversations grew softer, laughter more musical, and throughout the village there spread a feeling of deep contentment, as if some long-held breath was finally being released. In the inn, Mara stood at her kitchen window, watching the rain paint silver lines against the darkness, and as she watched, she began to hum the same wordless melody that had drifted through the village for 7 years. But now it sounded different, complete, like a song that had finally remembered its ending. Your own breathing is finding that same complete rhythm now, that same sense of something finally settling into its proper place. Feel the deep satisfaction of puzzle pieces clicking together, of tensions resolving into harmony, of your entire being settling into the perfect position for deep, restful sleep. In the willow grove, the rain shepherd still stood beneath his opened umbrella, but now the traveler could see that he was changing, becoming somehow more translucent, more connected to the rain itself. With each drop that fell, he seemed to become part of the storm he had called, part of the gentle weather he had shepherded back to these thirsty fields. The traveler sat perfectly still against the ancient tree, rain falling softly on their hair and shoulders, and with each drop came a memory, not their own memories, but the memories of the rain itself. They remembered falling on gardens where children played, on forests where deer came to drink, on meadows where lovers walked hand in hand under gray skies that promised nothing but peace. They remembered the sound they made on different surfaces, the gentle patter on broad leaves, the musical splash in puddles, the whispered conversation with earth that had been waiting patiently through 7 years of silence. Each memory brought with it a deeper sense of rightness, of being exactly where they belonged, part of an ancient story that was finally continuing. Through the falling rain came other sounds, the contented sigh of earth receiving what it needed, the grateful rustle of plants lifting their faces to the sky, the distant murmur of streams beginning to flow again after years of dry beds. It was a symphony of renewal, but played so softly it was more felt than heard, a lullaby that the entire landscape was singing to itself. Feel yourself becoming part of this gentle symphony, your breathing adding its rhythm to the rain's percussion, your heartbeat joining the deep bass note of Earth's contentment. You are safe here in this peaceful storm, surrounded by the most soothing sounds in nature, cradled in the arms of sky and earth as they dance their ancient dance. As the night deepened, the traveler found themselves drifting in and out of dreams that felt more real than waking. In these dreams, they walked through gardens where rain fell like blessings, where every plant glowed with health and contentment, where the air itself seemed to sing with the joy of water finding its way home. They dreamed of rivers running clear and full, of lakes that reflected not just sky, but peace itself, of forests where every leaf caught raindrops like jewels and held them up to catch the light. In these dreams they understood that they had not just witnessed the return of rain to Dryfold, they had been part of it, had helped carry the memory that made it possible. The rain shepherd's humming wove through all these dreams, sometimes distant, sometimes close, always bringing with it a sense of deep calm and rightness. In the dreams, his voice seemed to say without words that all was well, all was unfolding as it should, all was moving in the gentle rhythm that connects every living thing to every other living thing in one great, peaceful dance. Somewhere in the deepest part of the night, the traveler became aware that the quality of the rain was changing. It fell more gently now, more quietly, with the rhythm of breathing slowing toward sleep. The silver bells on the umbrella chimed less frequently, their sound growing softer, more distant, like music heard across water on a quiet evening. When they opened their eyes, or perhaps dreamed they opened their eyes, the traveler saw that the rain shepherd was beginning to fade like morning mist, becoming one with the gentle storm he had called home. His umbrella still turned slowly above his head, but now it seemed to be made of rain itself, of clouds and starlight and the deep peace that comes when all things find their proper place. Sleep now. His voice came from everywhere and nowhere, soft as falling rain, gentle as morning dew. The rain will continue its work. The earth will remember how to dream, and you will carry this peace wherever your walking leads you next. The traveler felt their eyes growing heavy, their breathing slowing to match the gentle rhythm of rain on leaves. Around them, the entire grove seemed to be settling into sleep, the ancient willow sighing contentedly, the cloudstones pulsing slower and dimmer, the very air growing thick with the kind of peace that makes rest not just possible, but inevitable. Your own eyes are growing heavy now, your own breathing slowing to match that peaceful rhythm. Feel yourself settling into the same deep rest that's claiming the entire grove, the entire village, the entire rain-blessed landscape. You are safe, you are peaceful, you are exactly where you belong in this gentle story that rocks you softly toward the deepest, most restful sleep. Chapter 7. Mist on the Hills. Morning came to Dryfold like a whispered secret, soft and gray and gentle, wrapped in mist that rose from rain-blessed earth like incense from an altar of gratitude. The traveler woke slowly, naturally, with the gradual awareness that comes after the deepest and most restful sleep. Their body completely relaxed, their mind as clear and peaceful as morning sky. They lay for a long moment without moving, listening to the changed sounds of the world around them. Water dripped gently from leaves. Somewhere a stream gurgled with quiet joy, and birds sang songs that seemed different than before, more musical, more content, as if they too had been waiting for this return of moisture to the world. The travelers sat up slowly, and the first thing they noticed was the umbrella. The rain shepherd was gone, faded into the morning mist like a dream upon waking, but his umbrella remained. It lay open beside them, no longer black, but silver as moonlight, its surface covered with dewdrops that caught the soft morning light like tiny stars. Each dewdrop held within it a perfect reflection of the gray sky above, and looking into them, the traveler could see the peace that had settled over the entire landscape. The umbrella's silver bells hung still now, silent but somehow still singing, their quiet presence a reminder of the magic that had unfolded in the gentle darkness. Let yourself experience that same sense of gentle awakening, of emerging from the deepest rest into a world made new. Feel the peace in your body, the calm in your mind, the deep satisfaction of having been part of something beautiful and transforming. You are waking refreshed, renewed, carrying within you all the tranquility of this magical night. Rising to their feet, the traveler looked around the grove with wonder. Everything had been transformed by the gentle rain. The moss was emerald green and springy underfoot. The ancient willow's leaves had taken on a deeper shade of living jade, and the cloudstones around its roots now glowed with a steady, contented light that spoke of purpose fulfilled, of waiting finally rewarded. The air itself felt different, cleaner, more alive, charged with the kind of energy that comes after storms, but without any of the turbulence. It was the air of renewal, of beginning again, of the world taking a deep, satisfied breath after a long-held tension has finally been released. Carefully, reverently, the traveler folded the rain shepherd's umbrella. It felt light in their hands, lighter than air, as if it were made of captured moonbeams and crystallized peace. They knew, without being told, that this was their gift to carry forward, not the umbrella itself, but what it represented, the understanding that peace can be cultivated, that patience can bring miracles, that the gentlest touch can transform the world. As they walked back through the grove, the traveler noticed that their footsteps made soft, musical sounds on the rain-soaked earth, and wherever they stepped, tiny flowers seemed to bloom. Not dramatic bursts of color, but gentle suggestions of beauty. Small white and yellow blooms that opened like smiles in the moss. Feel your own footsteps becoming that light, that peaceful, as if you too carry within you the magic to bring gentle beauty wherever you go. Your breathing is calm and natural, your body completely relaxed, your spirit as light and free as morning mist rising from grateful earth. The path back to the village seemed shorter than it had the day before, or perhaps the traveler was simply moving in harmony with the landscape now, flowing like water finding its natural course. The fields on either side of the path were already showing signs of the rain's gift, green shoots pushing up through the golden stubble, leaves uncurling from branches that had seemed lifeless just hours before. In the distance, Dryfold was waking under a canopy of gentle mist that softened all its edges, made it look like a village from a fairy tale where only good things happen and everyone rests well. Smoke rose straight up from chimneys in the still air, and even from far away, the traveler could hear the sound of contentment, children's laughter, adults speaking in quiet, satisfied voices, the general murmur of a community that has received exactly what it needed. As they crested the last small hill before the village, the traveler paused to look back toward the grove. Mist was rising from the entire landscape now, silver and pearl and soft gray, moving slowly like gentle spirits blessing the earth. Through the mist, they could just make out the dark green of the willow grove, and for a moment they thought they saw a figure there, tall, peaceful, wearing a coat the color of storm clouds. But when they looked more carefully, there was only mist and trees and the deep sense of peace that had settled over everything like a blessing made visible. The rain shepherd had become part of the landscape he had served, part of the gentle weather he had shepherded home, part of the eternal rhythm that connects sky and earth in their ancient dance. The village inn appeared through the mist like a welcoming beacon, its windows glowing warmly in the gray morning light. As the traveler approached, they could smell bread baking, tea steeping, all the comfortable scents of morning in a place where people know how to rest well and wake gently. Mira appeared in the doorway as if she had been watching for them, her face radiant with the same contentment that had settled over the entire village. "You found him," she said, and it wasn't a question. "You walked with the rain, shepherd." The traveler nodded, words seeming unnecessary in the face of such obvious peace. They held up the silver umbrella, and Mara's eyes filled with gentle tears of joy. "Left it for you," she said softly. "I've been waiting 7 years to see that umbrella passed to worthy hands." She stepped aside, welcoming them into the warm, comfortable embrace of the inn. "Come, dear one, come and rest. You've done beautiful work in the night." Inside, the inn felt different than it had before, not changed in any obvious way, but somehow more peaceful, more settled, as if the building itself was breathing easier. Other guests sat at tables, speaking in quiet, contented voices, their faces relaxed and peaceful, their movements unhurried and graceful. Feel yourself settling into that same peaceful rhythm, that same gentle contentment. You have been part of something magical, something transforming, and now you can rest in the deep satisfaction of work beautifully done, of peace faithfully kept, of rest fully earned. The traveler took a seat by the window where they could watch the mist moving slowly over the village and fields. Outside, children were discovering puddles for the first time in their lives, their delighted laughter mixing with the gentle sound of water dripping from eaves and the contented murmur of adults who had awakened to find their world transformed. Mara brought tea and warm bread, moving with the same unhurried grace that seemed to have settled over everyone in Dryfold. "The rain will come regularly now," she said, settling into the chair across from them. "Not every day, but when it's needed. The rain shepherd's work is done, but the rhythm he restored will continue." Through the window, the traveler watched the mist begin to lift as the sun climbed higher, revealing a landscape painted in every shade of green and gold and silver. Gardens were already showing new growth. Trees stood taller and more graceful, and over everything lay the deep peace of nature in harmony with itself. "Will you stay?" Mara asked gently. "Dryfold is a good place for those who understand the value of rest, the beauty of gentle rhythms." The traveler smiled, feeling the weight of the silver umbrella where it rested against their chair. "For a while," they said, "long enough to learn everything this place has to teach about peace." And outside, the mist continued to rise from the grateful earth, carrying with it the blessings of renewal, of rest restored, of a world learning once again how to breathe easily and sleep deeply, and wake each morning to the promise of gentle rain and deep peace. Your own breathing is becoming as peaceful as that rising mist, as gentle as the rain that blessed Dryfold, as deep and restful as the sleep that now claims the entire transformed landscape. You are safe, you are peaceful, you belong in this gentle story where every ending is really a beginning, where every moment of rest leads naturally to the next, where peace flows like water finding its way home. Rest now as the traveler rests, as the village rests, as the entire rain-blessed world settles into the deep contentment that comes when all things find their proper place in the great, gentle rhythm that rocks everything toward peace, toward rest, toward the deepest and most healing sleep. The rain will come when it's needed. The earth will dream its green dreams, and you will carry this peace with you into sleep, into tomorrow, into all the gentle mornings yet to come. Rest now, rest deeply, rest well. The story is complete, and so is your journey toward peaceful sleep. May your dreams be gentle. May your sleep be deep. And when you wake, may you carry a little peace with you. If you enjoyed tonight's story, feel free to return any time. Good night and sweet dreams.